We have dreams, dreams to study abroad, dreams to settle down abroad. Australia, Canada, UK, USA. Which door to open? What to do first and what not to do? I know it can be so confusing. So, on popular demand, we bring for you IELTS Unplugged with IDP. Hi everyone, I'm Sujata and I would like to welcome you to the very first episode of IELTS Unplugged. Yes, you heard us right. This chat show will give you all the answers that you have been wanting for IELTS. कब, कहाँ, कैसे और क्यों, ये सब मिलेगा इस यूनिक चैट शो पे जो हम लाए हैं आप सबके लिए. और आज हमारे चैट शो पे हमारे साथ हैं IELTS की एक्सपर्ट्स मिस शिखा मल्होत्रा. A big welcome and a heartfelt thank you for joining us today. We are very grateful to you.
Thank you so much, Sujata. It's a pleasure being here with you and trying to unplug the myths that people have about the IELTS exam and the things that we can offer or whatever is available to them. Let's make it available to everybody here through this chat show.
So I'm very excited. When Shikha says myths, first let me talk about some facts and myths can wait, okay? The first fact, people are moving abroad. They love to move abroad, whether it's to study or to work. They want to settle abroad. They feel a lot of opportunities of success are there in the foreign land. Now, being in this industry for so long, which is an education industry, how do you think, Shikha, in the changing times, IELTS fits in?
So, Sujata, very clear movement that we see of late in the last few years, and I'm sure you'll agree to that. Earlier, maybe there were 5 or 10 or 20% students from any school or any college wanting to move overseas to get the higher education, or people were looking at opportunities to be employed overseas. We see a lot of people moving out. The drastic change that has come in our society, in our neighborhood. Why neighborhood? Let me talk about my own family. I have 2 kids, and my son, who's older, did his undergrad from India, but went for his master's to the US.
All right.
And my daughter, who's younger, and I see that change within my family in the last 3 years. She has gone for her undergrad at the University College London. So look at this, that the older one went for a postgrad, whereas the younger one has gone for an undergrad.
So, mommy, did both your kids take IELTS? I'm sure our audience wants to hear you.
We cannot go out without an IELTS exam, be sure, because it's an English proficiency test. So, Sujata, this was my personal story of my kids moving out.
True.
You'll find this happening in your neighborhood. You'll find people looking up at jobs which are giving them opportunities to move to any other country overseas. We're in a culture where we have multinationals in India, overseas, and then the exchange keeps happening. So it's not only that. Besides this, maybe in our office itself, there are a number of colleagues who are looking at opportunities, who've moved out of the local India office and have taken opportunities overseas. So it's not only about a student wanting to go there. It could be for your work. It could be for immigration. We've known families. I'm sure you have a number of them in your friend circle.
Yes.
Where the kids have got settled and they've been there in some foreign land for a number of years. The parents are left behind alone. The parents are willing to go back and move in with the families, with the kids, and stay with them. So it's all about the entire ecosystem trying to move to a better opportunity, to a better place where they find, whether for studies or whether for a work environment or to be with the family. That is where the movement is happening up.
So I see a lot of options, floating around, when people are moving abroad with family, without family. But at the end of the day, this question always comes, why an English proficiency test and why IELTS is required, if you want to leave your home country and you want to make a future as a student or as a working professional, why do you need an English proficiency test, Shikha?
So, Sujata, you've been a trainer for a number of years, and I'm sure you already know the answer, but yet I like to answer this for the masses. We come from a country, specifically to India, if you talk about, we come from a country which is where doesn't have, English is not the first language. And any test taker who belongs to a country where English is not the first language and wants to move to another country where English is the language for day-to-day operations, for your work, for studies, you have to prove your skills of knowing the English in the all formats possible. Let's take a case for a student. A student who is wanting to go for overseas for some kind of education, could be an undergrad, postgrad, whatever level he is. He or she has to go attend the classes there in English, submit assignments, appear for tests, interact,
Yeah.
everything else. Not only in the academic, area, even outside. If you have to talk to somebody on the road, it has to be in English. Similarly, in your work environment, your office is, people around you are all going to be interacting in English. You have to write your mails, respond to them, or maybe attend meetings where everybody else is talking in English. You cannot be left behind. So that is where English is important, to show that yes, I am able to talk, write, speak, any more format of communication, I'm capable of doing that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Shikha. It is one of the most important global and the most popular languages for communication. The sooner you champion it, the benefit is for you only. So now moving towards, when we're talking about champions, one question I'm sure my audience is really waiting to hear an answer for is, when there's so many English proficiency tests around, why IELTS is one of the most popular English tests, and it has been a popular test for like years that I've seen in this industry. So what are your inputs on this? Why? What makes IELTS one of the most popular choices?
So, Sujata, this answer is very, very close to my heart, because I can talk IELTS to whatever extent you want me to talk
I
about.
like that.
You just said IELTS has been there for such a long time. So, let me give some values, some numbers to this. IELTS has been there for almost 30 plus years in this industry. If
Absolutely.
that adds value to
It does.
existence,
It does.
to why it's such a reputable test. IELTS is recognized by almost 11,500 plus organizations all over the globe. So if you have an IELTS score, you don't have to worry which organization will accept my score and which will not accept my score. It is being conducted in more than 140 countries or more than that. So look at the wider acceptance of the test that is there. Besides this, there are a number of other things that I would want our, our audience to know about. It is a very, very standardized test, which means that all over the globe, it's the same test, same difficulty level that is being tested. So if I appear from India and you appear from some other country, the reliability is exactly the same. So nobody has to think about your band score and my band score being different in any format. It is the different modes that we allow the test taker to appear for a test. And that where is the convenience of appearing for a test in the mode that I am comfortable with. You may be very good at computer skills, like the current generation is.
Yeah.
But people who are a little older in age or have not been exposed to computers so often would still go with the traditional method of paper-based, like our regular school university exams go. So we have exams where a candidate can go and appear on a paper, and that exam is conducted in a paper mode. Whereas there are others who are the Gen Z and maybe beyond that, who are more comfortable handling the computers. So we have computer delivered tests.
We have certain other acronyms like UKVI, ACGT. You and me understand it well, but I want this show to help everyone to understand and make the right choice when these options are there for a purpose for an IELTS test. So please throw some light.
So Sujata well said. There is a lot of confusion amongst candidates or the test takers who would want to appear for an IELTS exam, that which one do I choose, because there are so many options available. So let's start with deciphering each one of them. The easiest way of deciphering and understanding what test to take is follow the name, because the name says it all.
All right.
So you have IELTS Academic.
Yeah.
That is completely focused towards a test taker who's a student, who's wanting to go overseas for education, for a higher level of education. So he or she is expected to appear for an academic test. We have the other module, which is called, or the other test, which is called as the general training.
Yeah.
Now, the general training is general. Look at the word there. It is supposedly for people who are wanting to work overseas, because there's a difference in the level of fluency and the command over the language that you need to have if you're a student or if you're planning to work there.
And when you say, the name says it all, does the purpose also have something to do with the content of the exam? When you are an academic student and you're preparing for an academic IELTS, does the content of the exam somewhere relate? When we are already on this, let's touch this also.
Yeah. So because we are talking of academic versus a general training, academic and general training, the paper is almost the same except for two sections, which
And
is
they
reading
are
and writing.
reading and writing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So reading and writing sections of academic versus general training are different as compared to each other. However, the marking and everything else remains the same. So why there is a difference? Because for a person who's going to be a student overseas, the scenario that he's going to be appearing or the day-to-day activities and how is he supposed to respond back are a different set of questions or different scenarios that can be asked. Whereas for a general training, it'll be more day-to-day life kind of scenarios.
So the topics from everyday life
Yes.
is what is reading all about in the general training, and it's more to do with the academic specific topics. And is it general knowledge specific? Because if academic specific topics, does person need to have a specialist, or special knowledge to appear for that academic exam?
No, because anybody and everybody takes it. So it cannot be focused on a particular stream. And then coming to another version of it, which is called as the life skills. And it has a very specific purpose that one needs to appear for. It is a very specific requirement. If it's an immigration that somebody is looking at, one can appear for an life skills exam.
All right.
And since it is required for your day-to-day communication, with your interaction with your neighbors, you're neither appearing as a student, nor you're going for a work visa. You're going probably just for immigrating to move in with your parents or with your family, whoever is settled there overseas already. Your level of competency is just gauged on your listening and speaking skills, because that's what you're expected to be comfortable at in an English-speaking country.
And I think that's an amazing flexibility that IELTS offers to its candidates.
Yeah.
Any other?
So besides this, we are focusing on communicating with people around. So you interact with another candidate while you're testing. And it's a one-on-one conversation with very easy day-to-day use conversational things, maybe about neighbors, some family, or something which is relevant to your everyday needs. And that is how you are tested. And the examiner tests both the candidates at the same time. There's a very minimal stress on any individual with this, because it's very conversational English.
Right. So the speaking is done in pairs.
Yes.
And that makes it even more, easy for the candidates across.
Absolutely.
Good, Shikha.
So last, we have to decipher about the UKVI, which
Yeah.
is the United Kingdom's Visa and Immigration. So why that? That is the important thing. And what is the difference between a regular IELTS academic test versus a UKVI academic? Let me tell you, as per se the test goes, there's no difference.
Right.
It's a mandate from the UKVI for having this test in certain recorded environment and some basic mandatory conditions that have to be fulfilled while the test is happening. So the entire journey of the candidate is video recorded, and that is how it is different from any other academic journey. The tiara, for as we call as the mark sheet, that is slightly different from a regular academic exam. So I would want to conclude here with a comparison of the two. If a test taker is planning to go as a student to any other country, which is maybe Australia, could be Canada, any country, you appear for an IELTS academic.
Okay.
But if you are going as a student to the UK,
Right.
then you appear for the UKVI academic.
I think this information is much explicitly being shared here. Thank you so much, Shikha. And I'm sure our audience can ask more questions. Please remember to comment. It's very important for us to know what are you thinking, because this chat show is for you and we want to get all necessary answers that makes your journey easy and successful. So Shikha, we're still in conversation and we still have questions to ask you. When it's the CD, the computer delivered test, or it's the pen and paper test, do you think CD is easier? Do you think pen and paper is easier? And how easily are they available in terms of test dates?
So let me just give it a very, very clear reasoning and the way that you can choose your test. PB stands for paper-based,
Right.
and CD stands for computer delivered. Again, the name says it all. So if you are going to be appearing for the test on a paper, that your writing section you're going to be putting on a paper like a regular school university exam, that exam is a paper-based exam. But if you do the similar thing on a computer,
Right.
then it's called computer delivered. So how does one choose? That's a
Right.
bigger question. It's all bases your comfort with the computer's skills or your comfort. I feel today's generation is all the time on their mobiles. They're chatting. They're doing all kinds of tasks on the mobiles. So they should be comfortable. However, it doesn't stop them from choosing the other one. So just look at your comfort level.
Right.
How comfortable you are with writing on a paper, or would you want to do it on a computer?
The best thing is the choice is there.
Yes.
And it's for you to prepare well for the choice that you feel you're more comfortable with. And,
I like to add something here. Since it is paper based, the number of days that it takes to get the results out a little longer as compared to a computer delivered test. So if there is an urgency, you feel that you really need your results immediately or within a stipulated time of 3 to 5 days, go ahead with the computer delivered. Whereas if there's no hurry, you've just taken the exam and you have enough time and you were comfortable taking it on a paper, paper-based is also a good choice for you. Coming to the the frequency that we can offer
Right.
and the locations that we can offer, there's a widespread network of all centers where one can go and take the test. For the frequency, let's come to that first. We have 4 times a month, the paper-based tests are held. And for the computer delivered, you'll be surprised, it's held every single day of the week.
wow.
And not only that, through the weekdays, Monday to Thursday, we have it twice a day. Whereas Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we even have 3 sittings in a day. So you have multiple choices,
Absolutely.
which day, which date, which place, and when you would want to choose on what test. And looking at the widespread network I was mentioning about, so we have about 75 plus cities where we have 80 centers where the paper-based tests are conducted. Why 80 centers? Because in the metros, we have multiple centers also.
Right.
So it becomes more convenient for somebody to choose a center which is closer to their house. And for the CD venues, we have 46 CD venues pan-India. And let me add here, we also conduct the CD exam in Bhutan, and that is managed by India.
That's news for you all. And where to register? It's of course the IELTS IDP India website. A click away the registration, or you visit the nearest center to register for the next IELTS test day.
So when I was mentioning about the PB and the CD options, look at the options that IELTS offers you. You can take the test in both the mediums, whichever you are comfortable with, which I don't think other tests would be giving to you.
True.
And going ahead, I think there may be a certain question that you might want to ask me, is that if we are having 3 to 5 days marking for a result declaration for a CD, why so long for a PB? Please be sure at every level there are human beings who are doing the work, and they're all live, real-time examiners who are doing the work behind it.
So even for a CD test, listening, reading, writing, speaking, all 4 are checked by the human examiners?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Because,
Absolutely.
the myth, if I may say, was like the metro cities, probably the computer has taken over the marking too. And probably, the non-metro cities, still the humans are checking. So now we have an answer for everybody. IELTS is offering human marked checking even for a CD test. Okay. So be yourself and make the best of this opportunity. Thank you, Shikha. There's one more question that's really, really wanting an answer is, people are going different countries, yeah? And whether it's New Zealand, Australia, Canada, we've been hearing about this SDS route to Canada. Can you give us more inputs on this, please?
So this is something really latest, and you've touched the right thing right now for the right show. This was just announced a few weeks back, but has got implemented on the 10th of August of this year.
Wow.
And this is specific to Canada, where it is getting accepted by IRCC, which is Immigrations, Refugees and Citizenship for Canada.
Okay.
and this applies specifically to IELTS exam only.
So
So
how
look
does-
at the acceptance of IELTS exam, and I'm going to just explain what it means for anybody who's planning to go to Canada.
How does it translate into scores? Because if there's listening, reading, writing, speaking, and you need a test report form, to get your visa, whether it's a student visa or an immigration visa, what is this? Is it only for academic visa? A, that is one question that we want an explicit answer for. B, what scores allow you to get this visa, which is direct to Canada?
Okay. So when we talk about scores and we talk about the four modules that each test taker is supposed to appear,
Yeah.
it is a listening, reading, writing, and speaking.
Correct.
All this while, Canada wanted the candidate to have a band score of 6, which is in each module.
Okay.
Minimum of 6 in each module.
So 6 in listening, 6
Six
in
in-
reading, 6 in writing, 6 in speaking. That was before.
Yes.
What's changed now?
Yeah, so that was bare minimum.
Yeah.
Now what has changed is they can give a cumulative score of 6,
That
which
means-
means I could have had maybe 7.5 in 2 and 5.5 in the other 2 modules.
All right.
So I put together, I average this out, it turns out to be a 6. My scores are valid and are acceptable.
So I'm sure our audience is smiling when they are listening to this answer. So your scorecards are your pride and they are your gateway to success. IELTS brings success. So we're going to continue further. I'm really enjoying this chat and all the unplugged answers coming out and open. So thank you so much, Shikha, for getting into those details. We really, really are grateful to you. Okay, so
Can I add something here?
sure, please.
With the IRCC, this is applicable only for the academic part.
Yes, that was one of the questions too. So it's only for the students.
Yes.
And you have a set score for immigration, and for that, the website for Canada clearly outlines all necessary details. It's always advised that whenever you have to give an English proficiency test, you should always check what scorecard is needed and how much prep accordingly to factor. Okay, so we're moving to the very next question. Shikha, this is all kind of, coming up. I can't even tell you how many questions are there, but I'm really choosing and making sure, we make the best, for the audience. So
Sure.
the next question that we have for you is, there are times when candidates have to take an IELTS exam also again. Now, why an exam again? What leads to them taking an exam again? So give us some inputs around this so that students can really know those scenarios and how to approach those scenarios, please.
Yeah. So Sujata, we just discussed about people wanting to move either for work or for studies or for immigration.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about all this, there are different formats that somebody appears for an IELTS exam. We can touch this a little later, maybe in the show. But just to give first into why somebody has to reattempt or take another attempt for the same test, it's completely on the choice of the test taker. That is the first. Where the choice of the test taker comes is that I am proficient with English with whatever I know, but I still not am as good as I'm expected to be. So that is where I feel that I have not been
True.
able to perform as well
Yeah.
as thinking, and I haven't got the right scores. I may want to take a retest or a reattempt on that test.
Yeah,
That's a self decision, as you very well said. The other could be that you know that you're going to be applying to a university A or B or C in any country that of your choice. Each university has a requirement of the bands that they look for the IELTS score.
Okay.
So if that is not matched, then you will have to take another attempt so that you fulfill their eligibility criteria.
Agreed.
That is the other reason for it. The third, which is some things that are not really known to people. If I'm a student today and I apply and I have a score today, and for the next 2 years, I have not been able to, pick up a job, or I was aspiring to go to university and I haven't taken an admission there. There's a validity that is attached to the score. So your IELTS score is valid only for 2 years. So if you do not apply during that duration, you will have to take another attempt to present a valid current score.
So I know, this validity is essential, but I would like you to elaborate why IELTS as an English proficiency test wants to keep this validity, and that too for 2 years. What are the reasons that you think, that create that validity point, there for students?
So, Jada, we've all heard about it. Practice makes man perfect. Let's keep that here, bring that here also. If I have learned something today and I do not use it for the next 2 years, doesn't mean that I've forgotten it completely.
Yeah.
It's just my fluency will go down. It's just my comfort of being in different scenarios will not be as good as I'm expected to be.
The skills become little hibernating.
Yes. So the more I keep using, the more I keep practicing, I'm not obsolete, I'm not, out of date. That is the reason why a 2-year validity has been put to it, so that your score is valid. And if you've not been using it for a while, you reattempt and you get a fresh score to just show that, yes, my skills are still the same.
Absolutely. An IELTS exam gives you a lot of test dates, and it's quite easy to book, and of course get your dream score too. Now, Shikha, when we're talking about, the various scenarios that people have to take an exam again, one of the scenarios is not optimum preparation also. So how to prepare, how much to prepare? This is a question that kind of overwhelms a lot of students, candidates across. So what does our expert on our show has to say? Let's hear.
So when it comes from me, it has to come the best. Now,
I agree.
So let's take the different scenarios. From where to prepare. You could have, registered for some course somewhere with some training academy, completely your choice. You could have had no need to prepare for it, because in today's scenario, if you look at children who come from the metro cities studying in English medium schools,
Yeah.
they are so fluent with English. They need to seriously understand the format of the exam, the modules that they're going to be appearing. So that comfort has to be there. Prep time, I think, is what is involved here in just being aware of the kind of modules I'm expected to appear for, and take a few practice tests. When you register for a test, you do get study material also along with it that supports you in your journey to the preparation. However, I'd like to talk about the partnership that we have. IELTS is conducted by 3 partners together. It is British Council,
Yeah.
it is Cambridge, and it is IDP. So when you talk about Cambridge, I think it's the mecca of education. And coming from there, Cambridge offers IELTS prep material also. And this prep material is available online. So you can take practice tests, you can try them out, see how comfortable, and these are available for all modules. So get your hang of it. And then basis that, if you feel that I still need some more, you can also buy those. They're as simple as shopping on Amazon or any of these online shopping carts. So just put your courses, your choices, put it in your cart, buy them, use them, practice them, and get the proficiency.
Absolutely, and this is a message for all who are watching us today. IDP wants your journey of IELTS to be easy, to be inspiring, and to be successful. What tips, what practices, lovely videos. You've got to log on to IDP IELTS India website. It's a hub of resources, and trust me, we believe in you, and it's time that you start believing in yourself too. So we still have more questions for you, Shikha. We're not going to let you go.
Happy to answer them all.
Thank you so much. Now the question is, IELTS admission dilwa deta hai, IELTS immigration dilwa deta hai, but kya IELTS job prospects bhi badhata hai ya nahi badhata, Shikha? Because, for us, when we say it's English, how does it translate to the professional world? Please throw some expert advice, please.
So I was just mentioning to you that people are moving overseas for job opportunities. So how and why and how? I mean, we all are aware Indian workforce, counts a lot in any organization outside India. How have all they been able to do that? And it's simply because any and every person is, when looking for applying for a job somewhere, is gauged on his expertise in the subject matter. Besides that, the fluency of English, the comfort of English is so very important, because you break the barrier of belonging to India or belonging to a particular country. Though people might have that at the back of the mind that English is not their first language, but your IELTS scores gives them that clarity that whichever country you are coming from, that band actually tells them your proficiency of how good you are at using that language. So that is where, one step ahead towards it, because multinationals wouldn't, want to have you on if they don't see that in you. Besides that, I feel that when you're preparing for an IELTS exam, whether it be any module, you are expected to read, because that's what, you get the insight into different kind
Yeah.
of things, and it also prepares you for answering the questions that are there. When you start reading, it's not only about reading, it's about absorbing so many other things while you're reading. Your knowledge level also increases in the different topics that you take up while you're reading. So makes you a more rounded and a more engaged information person who is able to interact with people of all kinds, if in the office environment or the workplace. You're at par with anybody, whichever country you go to.
So, everyone, Shikha is giving a message loud and clear. Your IELTS journey is not only about just getting a test report form. Your IELTS journey is to use the nurtured English to the best of your ability out in the big world, because it's all about communication, and communication is not only about talking, it's about listening right, it's about reading right, and integrating when you speak and you write. So, Shikha, this is really, a good insight. And I'm sure people who are watching us will pay more attention, to the English preparation for the IELTS exam, because it's just not one success. It's just the start of the success journey for more and more success. And of course, professional world is just one another success factor. Okay, Shikha, so many students come to me from time to time and they keep asking one question. Ma'am, which exam should I take? There's so many English proficiency tests in the market. And why IELTS, ma'am? So, Shikha, having you today in the studio, it's important for us to know your answer. Why IELTS?
So as I said, IELTS is core to me. So I will just give you out the reasons why IELTS is most preferred globally.
Yeah.
We did discuss about 11,500 organizations accepting it, be it government, be it private, be it institutions. So there has to be a reason behind it. The first and the foremost, it's a very, very secure test. Whether it's about the question papers, whether it's about the entire journey of the test taker, or even the examination and post the examination, everything is a very secured environment. So while the candidate is going through the journey, the examiners who are involved in conducting the test, of course, we are in a time when we are moving towards AI and we have ChatGPT and we have all these things coming
Yes.
in. So we cannot lose the human touch here.
I
And
agree.
that's the foremost importance to any exam, that we have human examiners, human beings involved and participating in the entire examination journey. So there are examiners who are conducting the test, and they are real human beings who are actually marking you and testing you. So that is how it is. About the examiners, these are all subject matter experts. They are well qualified, number of years of experience that they have. They are regularly monitored. So it's not like we have IELTS validity, we have a validity for the examiner also. So they also need to keep going through those skills. They will also keep recertifying for their certification. They will also be monitored regularly. They will need, I would rather say, they are always monitored regularly. And that is how we maintain the quality and in complete secure environment. It's not available online, it is not available anywhere in the world except for the IELTS itself. So that's the biggest thing. It's a secure test, and that is why it's accepted. Coming to the human intervention is another part, because that is so important to have that one-on-one human feel. Besides that, there are certain other options that are available only with our test, which means if a candidate is not really happy about the score he or she has got, you can apply for an inquiry on your result.
All right.
Which means I'm not happy. I would still want it to be remarked. I would see maybe there's a change in the score. So I don't have to appear for another test. And basis the results that you get, you may decide to appear or not appear for it. Not only this, I did discuss earlier and I would want to reiterate here. In case you decide to take a test, it's not mandatory for you to take the complete test again. Don't appear for all the 4 modules. You have a choice now, which is called as one skill retake. And you can appear for one skill that you think that you probably didn't do so well and didn't score as much that you were expecting. Another thing that is very unique to the test and is available for the candidates who are appearing only for the paper-based exam, we have a short form or an acronym called as CYOSS.
And that is?
And that is Choose Your Own Speaking Slot.
Can you say this acronym again for our audience, please?
So you may not find it on our website, but it is mentioned there as Choose Your Own Speaking Slot.
Okay.
And that is available to the candidate. They can actually choose the day, date, time
Yes,
when
they
they
can.
would want to go and do their speaking testing.
So the flexibility makes IELTS special, the security, the global acceptance, and the list can go on when we have Shikha with us here. Shikha, absolutely, I agree with everything that you've said. And, people are from different backgrounds, different countries. IELTS is omnipresent when we say as a worldwide exam. And, you also mentioned, whether you're taking an exam in the UK or you're taking an exam in India, you have the same kind of questions, you have the same assessment criterion, and that's what make IELTS a standardized exam and a fair one. Now, we know English is not same for everybody. And even it's not only about the language, but at times, people don't feel that they can do anything in this exam. There's a lot of underconfidence because some maybe, specially having some special needs, if I may say. So can you also give some inputs, if somebody has a speech problem or somebody has, probably a slower writing, how does IELTS factor them in? How does IELTS make it inclusive for them? Yeah.
So this is one of the myths that I was wanting to talk about.
Good.
Because a lot of people still do not know about it. And the fact that we are in an era where we're talking of diversity, equity, inclusion, we cannot have people left behind. They should get an equal opportunity of getting everything and doing everything that everybody else is aspiring to. So let's look at maybe people who are needing some special treatment or they are having some special requirements. We cannot have them left behind. So for this, in IELTS, we have a lot of these kind of support system wherein people who are either physically challenged or would have some special requirements in terms of some disability, or could be a hearing impairment, could be a speech impairment, even visuals. So there are special question papers that are aligned for them. The examiners are informed accordingly well in advance. There are, the speaking CDs are arranged separately. Sometimes it's a larger font that is available for them to be able to read the question paper easily. Sometimes it's an extension time that we give them. So there's a lot of options that are available so that each one of them feels that I've got the right platform to take the test and compete the other.
So we have one more question for you, Shikha. So there are so many students, who go abroad, they finish their study, some get the placements, and some want to apply for a permanent residency. So when from a student portfolio, they want to change themselves to a permanent residency portfolio, do they need to take an IELTS exam again? Why? Can you give us some inputs here, please?
So we just discussed about the different exams, the academic and the general training, and the purpose behind each one of them. So if somebody has gone to a country as a student, he or she would have appeared for an academic exam.
True.
However, the state is going to change because they're applying for a permanent residency, which is the test that they should have taken, a general training.
Right.
So now the status is changing, so the exam has to be taken accordingly, and you're expected to take a general training IELTS exam. I want to add here something that you would probably have not heard. The student feedback that comes to us so often, they are so thrilled and they are so excited and they really thank their stars that they took an IELTS exam while they were appearing for the academic exam, going out as a student, because when they are expected to repeat this as a general training, it becomes easier for them. being a student or moving to a work visa, they do not find that much time that they would have been able to give while they did the exams before they went from here. They cannot spend as much time for the preparation again. And because they've appeared for an IELTS, they are aware of the formats, they are aware of the kind of testing dates, they are aware of the modules. It is half the work already done. So it's just a comfort of IELTS being repeated again with just the tag of academic changes to a general training. So that's a real another say that we get from, another feedback that we get from, and that proves that IELTS is a more acceptable test globally.
I agree with Shikha. When it comes to IELTS altogether, whether it's an academic world or a world of immigration, IELTS is there for you. It's now almost time for us to end today's show, but we want to know it from you, Shikha. Does IELTS really makes it possible?
Sujata, we've all heard of this. A journey well begun is almost half done. So IELTS does make it possible, and that it is what it is.
Today we've had lovely information from our guest on IELTS Unplugged with IDP. This show is for you, so please remember to send your questions to us in the comment box because we want to hear what you want to know more. We are going to come with more interesting episodes and much more information for you. So stay tuned and keep watching because IELTS makes it possible.